decisions. These are my 8 decisions. These are my 8 decisions. The decisions for success. These are my 8 decisions.
Jeff Davis, welcome.
Yes, sir, Mr. Hartline.
Coalmarch.
Yes, Coalmarch.
What's Coalmarch?
Digital marketing, technology-enabled digital marketing agency serving the pest and the green markets, lawn in particular.
How did you get wrapped up in this?
This is a long story. I mean, how much time do we have for this?
Let's tell the story.
You can cut it back. So long story short, acquisition of an acquisition during the pandemic ended up at this company called WorkWave, who had all these leftover companies that came around, these service organizations. It was a software company. Services didn't really fit. So I took over a role overseeing some of the marketing services, and one day just kind of gathered the nerve and pitched to the CEO and said, hey, you should sell this business and you should sell it to me. And they agreed a little bit, and then they went and tried to shop it to someone else, and they came back and agreed again. And here we are 6 months later.
See, this is a great story because I think there's a lot of people that are in big organizations. And did you feel like this business wasn't getting a lot of attention?
So they had a precedent. There was, we were getting no attention, to answer your question. But there was a precedent. There had been another business that had basically been run into the ground. And it was bad timing. It was bad market. It was bad economy. There were some bad decisions around it too, with some of the old leadership. But I watched the service business that was almost a titan and revolutionary in what it does, almost go off on a fire sale. And this group over off to the side, Coalmarch, was still intact, still had their DNA, was still fiercely strong and independent. You know the players, you've met them, operating in Raleigh, and they were not going to give up on the business. And I kind of saw that, and I'm like, all right, we can work with this. So, there was no attention given into that business. We were just contributing dollars to the bottom line for a bigger software company. We were part of their big machine. They weren't a focus. We weren't a focus for them. Yeah. And we shouldn't have been, honestly. Yeah. Digital marketing is not software. It doesn't give you the financials that you want in your business. And that wasn't their mission. Yeah.
Now, your position in this company and leading it, raising the money for it and pulling the deal together, and what does it feel like to you to lead an organization with so many employees?
It's great. It doesn't feel, I thought it would feel different coming out. It's pretty much the same role. Actually, it's half the role I had, because I had another marketing group worth about the same amount of revenue that we didn't take out with us. It was a print marketing operation. So it's actually a little bit smaller than what I was leading underneath WorkWave. So it's been fun. There's a lot of responsibility that comes out with it, but I'll be honest with you, it's never been stressful. Yeah. Just because the group and the operation is so buttoned up, and we have such a great team of leaders that I don't have to worry about, the organization and keeping it together in the glue. And that's one of the things that's been freeing. We can step into EOS, we can step into different markets if we wanted to. And I feel total confidence in the organization to keep going.
And there was a EOS backstory before you engaged with me.
There was a partial implementation, I guess you'd say. So the old owner, I won't call him the founder. He wasn't really the founder. He was the founder of the current version of the organization. He owned his own pest and green company himself. So he built the organization around him. He was an EOS guy, Donnie Shelton. Donnie Shelton was big into EOS, and he started to implement it and then sold the business. And then once he sold the business, he went into WorkWave, and you can't really implement EOS on your own as part of a bigger organization. So it just kind of fell off, but the DNA was still there.
Yeah. And then you guys picked it up well. I mean, we're doing this podcast on Vision Day 1, and that's the day that we, start working on the VTO, the Vision Traction Organizer. And, the first day was focus day. We did the accountability chart and sent some fundamentals and the scorecard. But today was really the VTO, which is the more fun part, I think, of this whole process, because you start talking about the core focus, core values, and you start to kind of piece this, like, who are we component, which for a lot of businesses, I don't think they know who they are unless they've gone through some process to actually identify who they are. which is much like us as individuals. Like you're just recently turned 50, right?
Oh, I'm not there
Not yet. You're close.
Give me a few months. Yeah,
but there's this identity to turning,
Right.
at least for me, like
mortality.
50.
You look at it.
Yeah. And you're like, well, half of this is over, right? And I think that the same thing rings true when you think about the business. Like, who is the business, and how is the business going to do really well? First off, who is it that want to be? And like identifying that identity is what part of that is today. What do you think happened out of today? Was there any ahas or?
Today was almost felt like a cleansing, which was interesting because I wear two roles. We talked about this at the point. One is running the business and being the CEO of the company. The second one is an investor, is being that angel investor with a group of other, 3 others that came together and put the company. So investors have got a return. They're looking for a return, but at the same time, there's a bigger mission for the organization. And part of my mission right now is to help the company figure out what its big mission is. And it's probably going to outlive me. Hopefully it outlives me. Yeah. Hopefully I'm not the end of this, right? We keep it going. So I think that was one of the big outcomes of today, was getting into the people. We had a lot of, it was almost like a group therapy session. We were getting into some truths today that I don't think had been uncovered before. It was very healthy and it felt very good coming out of it, but it was also getting together and looking and getting everyone to look down the road and saying, okay, where in 10 years do we feel like we could all be? What are the big things that we think we could actually be? And seeing the buy-in around the table. Because as an owner, with the owner hat on, it's really easy to say, you know what, we want to be X amount of dollars. And that's not really going to move the needle with the employees. That really, the people that are sitting there is like, what kind of mission is that? So we're making some other guys money at that point in time. Really, the mission is, it's got to be bigger than that. And I think that was kind of the aha moment, at least for me. It was at the very end of the day when everyone else was brain dead and couldn't talk anymore. But I'm looking around the room and I'm like, you know what? We got to switch this up. It's got to be something different. Yeah. It's got to be a different hill to charge up.
Yeah. I love that moment when we're working on core focus. And we had just done core values. We did this people analyzer tool, and we had one member of the team that kind of struggled in one area, and she got real vulnerable about this aspect of lacking some passion. And then in the core focus, all of a sudden you had an idea for a statement about your core focus that lit her up. And it was suddenly, she was like, oh, that's something I can get behind.
Right. And
that was my favorite moment of the day because we have a few moments and everyone's writing down the core focus and you kind of share each of them. And what we're looking for is a reaction. We're looking for someone to say something and everybody's like, yeah. And like the energy of the room, you said it, you just happen to be the one saying it. It could have been anybody in the company who said it, but you said it and everybody was like, whoop. Oh yeah. I can do that. What was that statement? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was, we're fulfilling the dreams of entrepreneurs. Yeah. So yeah, as a business, we functionally do digital marketing, but at the end of the day, what we're doing is we're taking people that take a lot of risk and go out and build these companies, these small companies, entrepreneurs. And I see them every day. They go out and they turn these things into massive businesses. And some of them want to hand them down. Some of them want to sell it off to private equity and walk away to the sunset. But we're part of that. And a lot of these clients attribute their growth to us. And I don't think anyone's ever looked at it in that angle. Like, we're really fulfilling someone else's dreams. And our conversation's always been, well, let's talk about your marketing. And that's not where my conversations have been. My conversations have been, okay, Bill, what do you want to do with this business? Like, you're sitting at $1 million, have been growing a couple percentage points a year. Like, what are your goals for you down the road? And I notice even with clients, when you start having that conversation and they're like, well, I'd love to get it to 3 or 4 million. And you're like, you know what about 10? What about it? Bill, you want to get to $10 million? What could you do with that at that point in time? And let's talk about how we can get there and what the numbers are. And I'll tell you how much you need to invest to get there, and we'll build a plan and we'll walk it with you. And I've been doing the same thing at trade shows, having those little conversations and looking into people's eyes and saying, okay, where's that spark? And it happened when I said, hey, we're just a bunch of entrepreneurs trying to help entrepreneurs. And I started noticing that little statement right there with these business owners. It hit every single time. And then you saw it hit in the room again today. And I'm like, all right, we're on to something.
I mean, that simple redirection of energy, they're thinking the small game.
Sure.
Because they're used to incremental growth. Maybe they got handed a business or they bought a business and they're looking at year-over-year growth and it's 5, 10, lucky 20, whatever, right? And you're saying, you could go more. And he's like, what do you mean? Well, I mean, you're generating an engine, you insert $1 and you get X dollars out.
Right.
Why would you not start to think like that and scale? And you may be the only person ever asking that question to an entrepreneur that's maybe even still jumping in the truck every day.
Probably is jumping in the truck.
Yeah.
We call them chucking the truck a lot of the times. They are jumping in that truck. It's funny. The thing that I notice is a lot of times they don't have firm goals. So they'll come in and say, well, it would be nice to, or we just want to do this. Or we want a 5% controllable growth every single year. What does that really mean? How do you translate into that? What do you want to do? Like, what's the point of this? The stories I really like are when people come back and say, I want to leave a legacy. I want to hand this down to my kids and I want to give them an option to do something the next one. I love those stories.
Yeah.
So the real question next is, well, what does it look like when you hand it off?
Yeah.
All right, let's figure out how to get there. Like, are you going to limp along, or does this need to go from $2 million to $10 million in revenue? Like, and how do we get there? How long do we have? And so putting those plans out there, just like we're doing in our business right now, and then drawing up the steps and how to incrementally get there. It's fun.
I'm so excited that your team is going through the real process of EOS, because they're going to be on calls with owners of companies who are struggling to find staff. And so you're having a conversation. I can help you grow. And he's like, well, I don't have the people, right? Mm-hmm. Well, you can go, there's a process now for this. You may not be thinking that you can do this, but lots of pest control companies have been in a situation where they couldn't keep staff, couldn't keep the wheels on the bus because their business is not at a space that had any organized development of a plan, much less, a plan for the week. They literally are just, they wake up, they got a bunch of calls, they do the calls, but you're not going to be able to scale a business without stepping away from it and going, what do I want, out of this business?
Right.
Because if you're not careful, the thing will consume you. And I'm glad you're doing this process early, because this is just after you've gotten this company started, and you're doing this early. Most people wait 10 years to do this.
So, I mean, Coalmarch is interesting. It's a 20-year-old company, but it's like a 20-year-old startup, right?
It's brand new now.
Brand new now. We're back in the same. And in fact, we're double the size we were before we went into the WorkWave company. So it can't even operate the same way. So a lot of what we're like, hey, we've already got a framework. We operated on our own 10 years ago. By we, I mean the rest of the company, not me personally. And then you come in and you're like, well, the way you operated at 3 is not going to work at 6. It's not going to work at 10. Yeah. Definitely not going to work at 20. So where do we have to change? And we have to change quickly. And that was kind of the decision as we looked around and said, we need an operating system. We need a way to operate. Just so happens, found an old friend who's into this. I trust very much. But yeah, we had to change the DNA of the company and get a formal plan to move.
So when you're talking to these other entrepreneurs, because you can talk their language, because you know what it's like to make payroll. Yep. You know what it's like to earn business, because it's not easy to get business in. How do you really connect with him to help him see what's possible when he's never been exposed to possibility? Because it's always he's going through the same motions he has for years. How do you get them to wake up to see what's possible?
A lot of times the ones that we're dealing with are going through that metamorphosis, right? They're starting to wake up and look at it. Believe it or not, EOS is huge in the pest industry. It's huge in the green industry for the successful companies because they have an operating system to grow. For me personally, it's just asking the questions, simple questions. What's your plan? Where are you growing? What are the biggest challenges in your business? What are you seeing? Is it labor? That's a whole totally different topic, and one that I came from before. And I can tell you that pest industry jobs are good jobs. If you got a labor problem, maybe you look deeper into your operation. It's not janitorial or security guards. That's a little bit different. So, it's for me, it's really just about asking questions, trying to get into that business a little bit more and figuring out what are those challenges that they're dealing with. And usually it just exposes that they really don't have a plan. They really don't know where they're going. And so they don't have a plan to get there.
So what does the process look like? If someone came to you and said, listen, I got this business, I'm at 5 million in sales, I want to grow. What does it look like, the steps that you walk them through?
So we would take a look at what their growth rate has been, where they've been investing. And then try to look at what their lead flow and even close rate, because leads can only get you so far. You got to close the business. There's a lot of different variables that kind of come into it. Take their growth, take that number, take a look over time and say, okay, here's where we feel like you need to expand. We'll look at market location expansion. One of the first things that blew me away in this business is we've got a lot of 20 somethings that are so smart in marketing. They are convincing business owners to go and open new locations and offices, because that will grow, and you would not believe how that impacts your Google market presence, like your actual lead flow coming in the business. So we'll look at there from an expansion standpoint of like where they need to grow, talk to them about where they want to go, and then we'll start to put together an investment plan. Like, how many dollars do you need to put in there? I'd put something out a while back ago. We have a lot of clients that'll come in and spend a few $100s a month on a website or $1,000 a month on a website, and they won't advertise at all. And they're expecting to get 10, 15, 20% growth. Well, I can see on the other side, some of these businesses are spending 7, 8, 10% of their gross revenue just on digital advertising. And those are the ones growing 20% year over year. And they're expanding into new markets as they go. So part of it with them too is a smart expansion strategy. So they're looking at different markets and saying, well, they may start with door knockers. Those people that you never answer the door for. They're trying to sell you pest
that's
service.
how I started my business.
Yeah.
Door to door.
Door knocking.
It still works.
Oh, it absolutely works. So in the pest industry in particular, that's how you get into a market. It's the perfect strategy. You come in there, you concentrate on certain areas. You come in, you're doing door knocker. Maybe your employees, maybe you're just using an outsourced service. And then once you want penetration, digital works great. So you can overlay these strategies when you come into different markets, right? If somebody wants to come into the Nashville market or the Louisville market where I am, door knocking is by far the way to get in there. But once you then want to expand, so that's the landing technique. Expanding is digital. Fits great.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's just different strategies on how you want to go. But some of our clients will come in and say, you know what, we don't want to expand markets. We want concentration. I want 40% market share. So what's the strategy for doing that? It's probably not door knocking. There may even be a print strategy for that.
So you're going to go in there and kind of answer those questions.
We're going to try to.
Yeah. And tell me a success story that you have of a client.
Oh man, we've got one of our biggest clients, Frontline Pest. I believe they started with us. They were a few $1 million. They've grown to about 30 using primarily digital marketing strategies, big door knockers to start. And then I think I don't want to misquote them. They may cover about 10% of the US now. They've gotten to be huge. And in the conversation, we just met them at Pest World. It was a fantastic conversation. They were like, well, we were thinking the other day, we want to go to $100 million. And we were like, we put it at like a 10, 15 year target. And we're like, nah, we can do it in 7. So we sat down and we're like, okay, let's take a look at what it's going to get us to go. What do you have to invest? Like, what do we see this year over year over year? And, frankly, that meant having to adjust our business a little bit and saying, okay, how can we support these guys moving? Because it wasn't going to be the same model we were using before. So we put together a model that worked for them. And now we're marching on a plan to get one of our clients from a few million to 100 million and working directly with them. And we're embedded. We're part of their team.
Yeah. Wow. And again, that can totally change an entrepreneur's life.
Sure. Sure.
And navigating scaling, when you start to work on your vision, you start to realize the power that we have in crafting that through our vision exercise and like starting to build that, adding more layers to the depth of what's possible. It gets exciting when you start getting there. And then you're like, oh gosh, I'm not even dreaming big enough.
Right.
Especially when you're playing around with digital marketing, because it is like calculated gambling in a way, because you are kind of, you kind of already know the score. Like if you know what you can do with other clients, because you have all this history, you have all these campaigns you're doing for 100 of other clients, you got all this data set, and you say, listen, I got the data set that says this works. Do you want the data set to do the thing that works? And it's like, yeah, it's an investment. And then it's back to the company being able to convert the sales, convert the leads, and which is a whole nother part of the opportunity to get them better at.
The funny thing is we ran into an inflection point with most businesses. They get to a certain size and say, well, we're big enough, so we need to bring this in-house. Now it's time to go up and build our own marketing department and do that. And what our clients would see is that they don't have our expertise. So we've got 150 pest clients. You got one if you got an in-house team. And you got people that are going to stay stagnant, and they're only going to be learning from that one experience that they're doing over and over. And there's the hassles, the people turnover, there's all the issues that go in. They're not going to grow at all. Their mission is not to serve a whole industry. It's to serve their job, basically.
Oh, yeah. Or they get poached.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're gone, and you got to start somebody from scratch. Right. And you know how many people online seem to think that they know how to do digital marketing? Oh, my God.
Well, most people online think they know digital marketing.
And it's like, it's funny. And I know I've known you for a long time, and I know you care about the service that you provide, because you want them to get the leads. Right. And that's essentially what you're doing. You'll be able to, that's what's exciting about, to me, the ability that you have is to really get them to think differently about the business so they can be different about the business, because a lot of them are just going through the same old motion, the same thing over and over, and they're just going to get the same results. And it's really asking deeper questions where they go, oh, okay. Yeah, I get it.
Yep. It's just exposing that next level.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. Most of the time they haven't even thought about it. Yeah. It was never even a consideration. There's no way I could own a business that big. There's no way I could grow like that. There's no way I could have 20 trucks running, right? No. It's me, and I got one other truck, and I'm super proud of that truck, but it's just all mindset, right?
Yeah. I'm curious what you thought about the exercise where we had our core values. We did people analyzer tool, and there were some deficiencies there that people saw in themselves. And what did you think about how everybody kind of started to put the mirror on each other and kind of see areas that they had for opportunity? How do you think that exercise went?
I think it went well. We have different dynamics in the room. Like, this is you've got a group of very close friends that are sitting in there, have been working together for over a decade, 12 years. And you got another leader that's been with them for about 10 years. And you've got me, who they call new, but I've been around for 4. So it's not like I am new. And then you got another one who's been here for about 3 months. So the dynamics are just very, very different. And the mirrors shown it was interesting to see that. I think when we started getting honest is when people started coming back and saying, I disagree with that. I'm actually lower on that category. And once people are like, I disagree. I think I've got a little bit of deficiency there that I need to work on. Then people were a little more apt to say, you know what? I don't think you're quite a positive here. I think you're a plus minus, and here's why. And the discussions happened. And I think we navigated mostly down. Maybe there was one negotiation up. We had one competitive moment in there. But other than that, it was, I think it's a solid exercise to walk through with everyone so that people can be truly honest.
Yeah, I felt that, to me, was one of my highlights of the day, because that's when I know I have a team that's healthy and they're open and they're honest. If you're able to declare you're not good at something, which several of the team did today, right? It's exactly what we're wanting out of the whole process, because once you can declare something you're not strong at, and someone else can see that, and we can start to work together on our strengths, our unique ability, but also at the same time go, all right, we have a gap in our team. We need this type of individual that's not here yet. And I'm super interested to see what happens next time we come back, because we're going to do that tool again,
right? And
see if we feel like we're making progress with that mirror turning back on us.
Well, I mean, at one point in time, working through the accountability chart and really the structure, I turned everything upside down for a good. I know I derailed the conversation for
you
about an hour
derailed
and a
us
half.
for we went on a whole new journey for 90 minutes.
We did.
We went off deep in the woods. We got lost by the stream. Like we couldn't find our way back.
It wasn't the intention, but
it was a great exercise to go through. It made everyone like stop and think about, well, is there a different way to do this?
right. You know, and the way me bringing it up, it churned up all of, you know, people are people. You know, there's you call it the politics of it, but there's the reporting and the structure, and you know, there is all of that element in there. There's the personal pieces of it, you know, that flow into it, and you know, when you have to look somebody in the eye and be like, I don't think you're as suited as this person is, and I've got to ask this question. Like, I think we got roles a little bit mixed up here. And you're really looking at an org chart flip that's been in the same way for a decade.
Yeah.
And yeah, I did that today. I did that today.
And I actually I welcome that because it started a lot of different dialogues. And you know, you never know what happened because the accountability chart is not done until we get to Vision Day 2 and we finally solidify it. And so a lot can happen in the next 30 days. So all I would say is watch people in their roles. Now that we were really aware of our core focus, our core values, and we're starting to lead our meetings that way. And we're being aware now of who the company is. And am I aligned with that core value? You're going to see like a lot of shifts. And then it may be, you know, this realization, you know, we have a hole here. Let's fill it with someone, you know? And I think the opportunity is great. I really appreciate your time today, getting on here and sharing this.
Sure.
I'm enjoying the journey of EOS with you.
Oh, it's been a blast. This has been so much fun. I didn't really realize there were systems like this that you could actually execute and come, you know, it's like, you know, talking this morning earlier from the running world, you know, especially all the ultra people, like we can do hard things. Like nothing's impossible. You can go run a 100-mile race. You can. Like everything's possible. Yeah. So it's fun getting into these conversations and, you know, digging into the depth and understanding that there are systems out there to support the really hard things that you want to go achieve. So I'm having fun with it.
Oh, thank you, dude. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Appreciate you.